1. Hello and welcome to The Swarm Show, this new venture between Defiance Community Television and Defiance College Athletics. I'm Garrett Mansfield. I will be your host, and we thank you for joining us today. Each and every month, we'll talk to Yellow Jacket coaches, players, staff, and more to go inside Yellow Jacket athletics. And that's exactly what we're going to do here today to kick off the new 2023-2024 season. While we go one-on-one and in-depth here on this program, we do invite you to go to defianceathletics.com for all of your inside information behind Yellow Jacket athletics. Stats, schedules, news, and a whole lot more right there at defianceathletics.com. Well, one of the constants that seem to happen in collegiate sports from time to time is turnover and some changes going on. And among those, you have to find new head coaches. We have one of our newest coaches in the house with us today, but we can confidently say that all of the vacancies we've had recently have certainly been long-term and long-looking solutions. And with that, head cheer and dance coach Morgan Barnett is with us today. You're the first guest on the Swarm Show. Does that add any extra pressure?
A little bit, but I'm ready.
Well, good. Well, you're a local product as well, so you have some familiarity with the immediate area. You want to tell us a little bit about your background?
So I am originally from Defiance, Ohio. Moved away for a little while, attended Bowling Green State University for a couple of years. Came back last year after I took over a recreational cheer program, and that skyrocketed to starting my own here in Defiance, and then that led me to DC.
Mm-hmm. And you already hit the ground running. I mean, already nominated for a Coach of the Year award here over the summer.
Yes, I have been nominated under the varsity for Defiance College and for recreational with Champion Force Athletics for the Infinity Coach of the Year.
And that's anonymous, so you don't know who really nominated you or recognized you, but really haven't had an official game to coach cheer at and already some
Exactly.
accolades.
I think our recruiting standpoint has really stood out to those in Defiance and around the community. So hopefully we can continue and make it even better than where we're at.
You hit on an important piece, and that is the recruiting aspect, and that is growing the numbers in your program. Can you talk about how that happened this summer and some of the new additions to the team?
Yes, so we have 3 returning athletes from last season or even the previous years at Defiance College. This year, we officially, as of yesterday, welcomed our 12th member. So we have grown greatly with a whole lot of talent. We have athletes coming from New York, from Michigan, and from Ohio. So I think the talent and the variety of cheer style that we have from all different areas is going to be huge and a great benefit to DC.
New people, but you talk about the variety of cheer talent and the different forms that takes, because cheer and dance and then competitive cheer all together, there's some avenues that you'd like to really take the program. Can you talk about some of that vision?
Yes, so for this fall especially, we are going to stick with sideline. We are going to
and that would be at games where fans are cheering on the Yellow Jackets along with you, right?
Yes, yep. We are going to sideline for football and a majority of basketball. And then hopefully we are going to dip our toes into the water and start a competitive cheer team in the spring and continue that and actually compete at the UCA levels, et cetera, next school year.
Next school year. So that would be going away, traveling, doing some competitions, bringing competitions to Defiance College, and being rated on a scale like that is, I mean, what goes in those competitive kind of events?
In actual collegiate level, which is something that our girls have never had. So we take sideline, game day, cheer, also have a dance, also have stunting and tumbling, which, like I said, our girls have not had in a couple of years at least, if not more. So bringing that back or bringing it new to some will be a great benefit, but it lets the athletes showcase from what they have had to growing. Some of them have only done sidelines. Now we're going to introduce a more competitive side and get a lot more intricate with things and not just waving pom-poms in the air, You will actually have to use that muscle, stunt, tumble, and go from there.
That means a whole lot more training and a whole lot other coordination,
Yes.
exercise, workout, that weight room, that new weight room coming to Defiance College.
Yes,
Cheer
it's
and
going-
dance might have to be
Yep,
very
we're going to
involved there.
officially be a team that uses it and not just, oh, they don't need it. All they do is wave their pom-poms in the air. Nope, we actually need that strength and conditioning.
Oh, that's fantastic. And one of the other aspects to that competitive side and getting to that stunt team and the competitive cheer would be kind of similar to floor gymnastics, but there's some other elements to it, right? What are some of those differences?
Oof. Changing your formations, I think, is huge. Instead of there just being one person who tumbles across the floor, you have 12 to 15 to 20 to 30 athletes doing it at once and having to make that transition from spot to spot work for everyone and let it flow in a good manner, which is difficult, but I think that's the piece that a lot of the girls are very excited for, is to get a little bit harder, not make it as easy, and they get to showcase some of that tumbling going from spot to spot that they haven't gotten to do in a long time.
No, it sounds like a lot of excitement, and you're fired up about it. But let's talk about the year, like this year, because you talked about the new additions. Your roster obviously is growing. What are some of the excitements that the athletes have for the year immediate? Aside of, we talked a lot about the future and next year, maybe the next semester, but fall semester and into the winter seasons. I mean, there's a lot to be fired up about there too.
Yes, hitting the ground running. We have had 2 weeks of solid practice, and they know over 50 cheers and chants already. So that was something we have changed previous cheers and chants and made them more to a nowadays cheer. A lot of them were kind of older than what I am. So we had to change some things up, change some motions, change some words, and letting the girls have a say in that has been great for them. They're like, oh, I actually feel a part of the team. It's not just somebody preaching to them about this is what you're doing, this is what you're fixing, but they get to have an input, which means a lot to them. I have seen athletes the very first day who were quiet, didn't say anything, they're just like, we're going to just try this out, to now they have a full-blown personality and get to give their own sense of style to things, which has been huge. We are going to attend all home events, as well as for football, we're going to do one away event. And then for basketball, we are going to split our time between the men's and women's team for basketball.
Fantastic. Anything else that you'd like to throw in here as cheer and dance you can already see is starting to move in a direction under your leadership?
Yes. I don't think I have much other than we're excited, we're ready, and we're going to take it full force. Our new uniforms, new pom-poms, new bows. We've changed the look of the DC cheer team in the past couple of months, and we're ready to take it on strong.
Well, we're excited to see it here very, very soon. Coach Barnett, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope it was as much fun. I hope all of you learned as much about cheer and dance as I already did in that short time. First games and matches for the Yellow Jackets are quickly approaching, so head to defianceathletics.com to see when and where your athletes are going to be in action. That Labor Day weekend is going to be a busy one. Men's and women's soccer have their purple and gold tournament. First home football game is that weekend as well. That the first team to compete officially will be on Tuesday, August the 29th, and that'll be the women's golf program. We'll chat with the Director of Golf and very involved in the women's golf program, Brad Deutsch, when we return. All right, next up here on the Swarm Show, DC Director of Golf, Brad Deutsch. Brad, thank you for taking a few minutes, but what is a Director of Golf? Can you tell us what your role is?
Well, we get to oversee the men's program and the women's program here at Defiance, and we work on budget and scheduling and various things like that. Direct contact with the athletic directors and anyone who needs to contact me to get to the coaches, the other coaches. I'm kind of the go-between between the two coaches, and we go from there.
Very nice. And how many years now going into this year?
This will be our third year. For the coaching staff, Ron Cole's men's golf coach, and then Brent Beck He is a women's golf coach, and I primarily work with the women's golf program also.
As a teacher and an instructor on the women's side, but still involved on the men's side from a more of an administrative kind of role, right?
Correct. Also some recruiting.
Yeah.
If I'm out watching a men's women's tournament somewhere and I see some young men that would interest Ron, then I'll give him a call and say, hey, check out so-and-so, and we try to get that ball rolling too.
That's good teamwork. Well, to dive right in, I mean, you have some of the notes in front of you. Talk about the women's team, because that's where you're more intimately involved. That's where we'll focus here today as they get their season started here at Trine, and then a full fall already for this women's team. And you can see pretty much right away, especially if you go to defianceathletics.com and find the women's golf records, the last couple of seasons, it's kind of changed a lot because there's been new marks that have been hit, and individually and as a team, and that has got to be very encouraging to see momentum behind this team.
Right. As for the women's side that Brent and I are working with, we were inherited a team that needed some work, and we've used that opportunity to bring in two young ladies, Cassidy Van Dyke and then Emily Momini, to join the cast that we had, and we've worked, and like we're saying, we're starting our third year, but in those past 2 years, we've really hit the record book pretty hard, and we've lowered the 36 hole, we've lowered the 18 hole, and we got some individual opportunities for the ladies to, personally join in with their averages and things like that.
So you're looking at young ladies that were shooting upper 90s or higher average-wise in the span of a season, and then maybe a little less for some. That average is down low 90s, and then winning tournaments even here in the last year and a half or so. I mean, that has got to be just an incredible feeling, seeing just that quick turnaround and that buy-in as well from it's only a handful of ladies at it right now,
right.
Which is kind of how golf teams are set up, that you can play up to 5 in your top 4, but right now it's been 4 the last couple of seasons.
Right, and like you're saying, our 4 young ladies have worked hard, and like you're saying, they're coming in with averages, in the mid-90s, and we play a little bit longer than what we do in high school, probably almost 1,000 yards, 800 to 1,000 yards. So, I kind of figure that's probably 1 shot per 100 yards, so on their average. So the young lady might be coming in with an 80s average, and all of a sudden it's 90s. Well, you're playing for longer distances. Yep. And they've adapted to that, and we've lowered our scores, our averages, and we're trying to get into that 80s range. And currently we had 2 young ladies break into the top 7 of our current averages on record books. So 2 young ladies that averaged 92 past season.
And the thing to look out for too, just from putting these numbers into perspective, is once you're in the 80s average and you're competing for tournament championships individually and as a team, and that is really one of those marks that takes you to kind of the next level from a competition standpoint.
Right. We hosted our own tournament at Moose Landing, and we were able to win that tournament. So that was our win that you were talking about earlier. And we have threatened within the conference to keep raising from basically last place and or 9th place. So now we're up into 6th, and we have our sights on some of the schools that are above that, and we're 8-10 shots away. And we've talked to the girls and kind of indicated, hey, we can take some shots here and there, and if you take 2 from each person, now that's 8-10 shots, and now we're competing with the middle of the group of the conference, and trying to increase as we get closer and closer.
Yep. Well, last spring, the Conference Women's Golf Championship was hosted by Defiance College, and it was held at Moose Landing down in Kalida. The weather was suspect that entire weekend. Didn't know if we were going to get 18 in or even to 36, but eventually got all 54 holes in. I mean, you had an exciting finish from the individual standpoint, competitive all 3 days at the top, and it really shows that from a community standpoint that we're bringing competitive golf, exciting golf, not only with our own program, but just being able to bring the entire conference as well, just right into our backyard.
And that was really nice to be able to host a conference tournament. We held the preview in the fall, and then we held the actual conference tournament in the spring. and we performed well in both, and we finished 6th in both. So it's kind of interesting because the from 1 through 10, everybody finished the preview and in the conference tournament the same spot. So we didn't lose any, but we didn't gain any. But we also got closer as we got into the conference tournament itself. And we actually had an individual, break the 3-day school record for that. And then we also had school records for individual days of the tournament. And then we also had the 54-hole tournament record. So we were able to come in and host our tournament and present ourselves well within the conference tournament. And the coaches around the area really, or in the conference, they were really congratulatory towards the way we ran the tournament.
No, that's great. That's great to hear. And looking at your roster this year, you lose one. Mary Nehar departs due to graduation. She's on that record book a handful of times. But you look at your roster now, and you have 4 local products. You have Cassie Van Dyke from probably the furthest away from Marysville, and then Winter Boroff out of Lincoln View in the Middle Point area. You also have Emily coming from Toledo. And Isabella Vance from graduated from Miller City, but from the Putnam County representation there. So you have really some young ladies that have competed well in the high school level, as we talked about, and that is what allows them to play at the college level. But they are kind of that core that's back from that success from a year ago. It's pretty exciting to see.
And like you say, Mari, she graduated, and she actually earned the Sportsmanship Award from the HCAC. And then within our roster last year, we had 2 All-American academics with Cassidy Van Dyke and Isabel Vance. So that's really nice to have the student athletes with that. And Julie Yeager also earned some conference honors academically. So it's nice to have a bright team. And with that, it'll carry over into, you can explain some things and go over some technical things, and they'll understand that. And they use their mind and their physical attributes to continue to get better.
Yeah, you look at Isabel and Cassidy; they're All-American, academic All-American awards. It's the 2nd and 3rd ever in school history, which has got to be very, very exciting and very make you proud as a coach that works with them regularly on and off the course.
It's just really nice having some young ladies that are very interested in their academic careers, and it's nice to have the smart people around to help me out.
Well, getting ready for the fall season, one of the interesting things about college golf the last couple of years, you also have that spring season. Sometimes the spring doesn't always look like the fall does. However, what are a couple of exciting tournaments coming up that you're really looking forward to just on the fall side?
Well, like you had previously said, we have a tournament here coming Tuesday, and it's a Trine University, and it's going to be some NAIA schools along with some Division III schools. We're going to go up there and try to compete as best we can and learn some of those things. And then we have Heidelberg on our schedule, and then we have Mount St. Joe that we're going to go down to the following week. And so 2 good tournaments coming with quality players and teams that we want to see what we can do to maybe get up in the top 3s of everything and just compete.
That's right. Go out and see where you are first and kind of go from there. Well, Coach, thank you very much for your time today, and best of luck next week getting it started.
We're excited about it, and I know the coaches are out working hard right now, and actually we got a tee time ready to go, and so we're anxious to get out there and get going.
Well, we'll let you get to it. You can follow along the Defiance women's and men's golf teams all season long on DefianceAthletics.com. Get updates, news, stats, schedule, results, and a whole lot more. DefianceAthletics.com. Well, we will also pivot when we return, as we'll have head coach Bill Nickel join us to talk about that upcoming football season next on The Swarm Show. All right, welcome back to The Swarm Show. We're going to transition into Defiance College football. Head coach Bill Nickel joins me next. Talk about the upcoming year, and a stellar finish to 2022 gave you a ton of momentum into the offseason, Coach. Winners of 3 out of 4 at the end of the year. You know, when you have a win like you did at the end against Bluffton, you get to carry that hammer with you everywhere you go. That has got to be juice. to the entire team
Oh, yeah.
all winter.
100%. You know, our guys really went out and earned that win. I mean, that was a tough, hard-fought win in the snow.
Yeah.
You know, and we have the hammer out there in the hallway every day, so when we come into meetings, all of our guys go past, excuse me, and they see it. It's just a reminder of all the work that they put in and what it took to go get it, and also just a daily reminder that we got a lot more work to do.
Absolutely. Well, to kind of rewind real quick, to talk about you a little bit and becoming the head coach here at Defiance, because you are in that 419 area.
Yes.
From born and raised, but you kind of had to go out a little bit, do your own thing, and all of a sudden coming kind of back to your roots a little bit.
Yep. So I grew up in Salina, Ohio, about an hour down the road. So I was a green bulldog, not a blue one, but very familiar with Defiance. Actually, both my parents graduated from DC in the mid '80s too. So I've known about Defiance College my entire life, but got into coaching right after I graduated from Urbana University. I played football there as well. Started off as the offensive line coach, tight ends coach at Urbana University, and just honestly, football has taken me a little bit everywhere. This heading into my 13th season now, so just excited to be back home. It's the first time I've been able to come back home since I was 18, so it's awesome. Yeah.
That's cool. What position did you play?
Played offensive line, center and guard.
Yeah.
Yep.
So those guys up front pushing everybody around, they have you in their corner.
100%. Yep.
That's very, very good. So to go back to that Bluffton win, we talked about how it's been meaningful to look at that reminder. You get that trophy game, that trophy game with the hammer that you get to carry around, that just what we accomplish at the end of the year despite the beginning. And you have a lot of work to do, as you've mentioned. 3 victories, probably not what you wanted.
Correct.
However, but you got 3 out of 4 at the end and really pushed everything forward. And there's a lot of excitement for this year.
Yeah, definitely. Just looking at last season, going through it, we were competitive in pretty much every game that we were in, but we had to learn how to win a game and how to finish. Big part of that is just building trust.
Yep.
With each other. You got a new system, new coaches, brand new staff, and finishing up the year just really showed the guys and showed us that we were heading in the right direction, and they bought in, and they earned those victories for sure.
That's good. So the new faces to the team this year.
Yes.
There's some excitement with those guys as well, and even at the big D1 schools, D3 schools, everywhere in between and on down below, you have a lot of kids to keep track of. So you got to learn their strengths pretty quick, even though you have the recruiting process to get some of that groundwork done. Who are some fellas during camp that you're like, man, this could be special?
Well, we always start with the offensive line and defensive line. I can tell you Brian Hammer out of Michigan, he has shown that he's going to be a stud for us. He's been playing left tackle in practice a bunch, but honestly his ceiling's very high inside. He's been rotating at guard as well, dominating his one-on-one competitions. He's done a really good job, and we're excited about him. Defensive line, Tibbs, so Andre Tibbs, he's shown incredible explosiveness, high effort, relentless motor, which is what we want, especially at defensive line, and really excited to have him. He's out of Lima as well, so he's a 419 kid too. Looking at the skill positions, our wide receivers we're going to look very different on the outside this year. We brought in some talented guys that can run, tall, long. So we're really excited about Corday McAllister, Trey Morrell, are 2 guys that we know are going to factor in. If not starting, we compete every day for who's going to be starting, but they're definitely going to be. We're going to find ways to get them the football. Also, C.J. Young out of Arkansas as well, tailback. He's shown great explosiveness too. So very excited about those guys and a bunch of other guys. You know what I mean? But we were watching film this morning. Those are the guys that stood out to me off the top. So
recruiting locally and regionally is one of the big keys to filling your squad out each and every year. And it seems like you talk about Tibbs from Lima. Javen Gaines is just from down the road and is part of the program too. I mean, seems like there is already in year 2. There seems to be some rapport and some recruiting trust locally and regionally that you guys have your whole staff, you and your staff have been able to really get your arms around pretty quickly, which is great.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of my things from day one is we were going to take care of our home turf. So there's a lot of different ways to do things. Previously, they seemed to go out of the region to do most of their recruiting. We still recruit nationally, but we concentrate on Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Kentucky. So you look at our class, we have about 70 new faces to the program that were not on the team last year. And you look at it, 90% of them are from that area, from here. So, absolutely, it's one thing that we went after. And as we continue to build this program, I think that trust is going to keep building too. So
That's good. Lots of moms and dads within driving distance
Yes.
to come out and watch Yellow Jacket football. That's
100%.
That's huge. Now, part of building a sustainable program is obviously continuing to keep the fellows you've already recruited
Yes.
in years past. And you have some very dynamic pieces that are staying at Defiance to either finish out a fifth year or that are rising seniors and are important pieces to the team. Who are some of those faces that people need to get to know early?
Well, I can tell you Jordan Ambrose and Thomas Coltrane are two guys that are the first captains that I named last spring. Those guys are both fifth-year seniors that believe in what we're doing and chose to come back and play their last year. Both guys have had phenomenal summers, phenomenal off-season all throughout, and great leaders. So those are two off the top, I would say, for sure.
Jordan playing quarterback once again, and Thomas in the anchoring that linebacking core in that second level of the defense. Very important positions, too, to have experience at, which you'll need week number 1 as number 2 Mount Union coming to Defiance. You know, a lot of people are like, their eyeballs get really big. Wow, Mount Union is coming here. And, you know, the 13 national championships speak for themselves. This is one of those that it's a unique experience to be able to share the field with them and really get an idea maybe where you're at and where you're going to gauge the next few weeks after that. How do you approach a game like this?
Well, honestly, it's a phenomenal opportunity for us to go out and compete, and that's what our kids need to know. That's what everybody needs to know. I mean, we're not going out there to just hang out with them. We're going there to win, you know, and we have a sound game plan going into it. They are a phenomenal program. As you said, it speaks for themselves. Great coaches, great program. But it's also, I mean, that's the gold standard. That's where we want to be. So being able to line up across from them, go in and compete, you know, really gives us a picture of, okay, we talk about wanting to be here. Where are we really at? So phenomenal opportunity.
All starts against the Purple Raiders September 2nd. It's a 1:30 kickoff at Caressel Stadium. Now, Coach, it's going to be hard to get you maybe off of this next position as we have one last question for you. Because a 10-game season, every game is important. You want to, you're not looking ahead. You're kind of looking at task at hand. That's football for you.
Right.
It's assignment by assignment by assignment by play by play by play, and they build on each other. However, there are a few games along the way that could maybe dictate where you're at a certain point of the season, and where are those little pivotal turning point games on the 10-game slate that you can see off the calendar?
Well, obviously, as you alluded to, we are laser focused on being 1-0 for our first game. But looking at the schedule, very excited to start our conference play with Hanover. It was a game we were very competitive in, and we were still learning how to finish games. I mean, that's a game that I think that we let them off the hook. So very excited about that opportunity to go in and hopefully be able to finish that one. Of course, Bluffton, retaining the hammer. We want to keep that thing back at home where it needs to be. And then also, you know, we have, for our homecoming game, we're playing the conference champs, the reigning conference champs. So another phenomenal opportunity there to be able to upset a team when we have all of our alumni back and hopefully a bunch of community members too.
October the 7th. Also have Hall of Fame inductions during that halftime show as well for the Yellow Jacket football team. Well, Coach, that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Well, get out there again and see the Yellow Jackets in action September the 2nd against Mount Union, 1:30 kickoff. If you can't be there, we also will have the live stream on DefianceAthletics.com. Same goes for Defiance College volleyball, basketball, softball, and baseball, DefianceAthletics.com. We'd like to thank Defiance Community Television and the Strady Center for the Arts for making today's show possible. Excited for where the venture will go. Get updates about their work and their involvement in the community at their Facebook pages, Defiance Community Television and Strady Center for the Arts on Facebook. I'm Garrett Mansfield, thanking you for watching The Swarm Show.